Imagine a room not defined by walls, but by energy, a quiet space, dimmed lights, and her, not waiting, not expecting, but simply present. You see, desire doesn't begin with a kiss, it begins with attention, with the way you glance at her when she's not looking, with the way you move around her, gently, curiously, like you're learning a language that has no words. Most men think pleasure is physical, but for most women, the body follows where the mind dares to wander. This is not about performance. This is not about conquest. This is about presence. Tonight, we are not learning how to please a woman. We are learning how to read her, how to listen, not to her voice, but to her breath, her posture, her quiet hesitation, her rising openness. There are no shortcuts, but there are keys. Let's begin with the first one. She begins to feel long before you ever lay a hand on her. It starts in the silence between your words, in the space you give her to exist, unjudged, arousal, for her, is not a switch, it is a slow sunrise, and you are not the sun, you are the sky that lets it rise. Anticipation is the art of waiting without pressuring. It's in how you look at her, not with hunger, but it's in how you reach for her, not to take, but to discover. When she speaks, do you listen with your eyes? When she pauses, do you notice her breath? Do you create the kind of space where her guard can lower itself? Touch begins in the imagination, when you let her wonder what might come next. Without needing to rush there, let your fingers hover before they land. Let your gaze settle before it moves. Let her body ask for more before you offer it. Remember this, the moment before the kiss is often more electric than the kiss itself, because, in anticipation, there is mystery, and mystery is magnetic. The skin remembers what the mind forgets. It speaks in goosebumps, in shivers, in the way it leans toward warmth. Touch is not just contact. Touch is conversation. And if you listen closely, her skin will tell you everything. What it craves, what it fears, what it's never dared to ask for. She doesn't need sudden hands. She needs curious ones. The kind that don't assume they already know what she likes. The back of her neck, the curve behind her knee, the space just below her collarbone. These are poems waiting to be read, not rushed, not devoured, but traced, softly, like a whisper meant only for her. Your palm carries more than heat, it carries your presence. So when you touch her, don't just touch. Arrive, let your fingertips land like a secret you've waited all night to tell, and be patient. Because the first touch may not awaken her. It may only ask a question. Does this feel safe? Do you see me? Can I unfold here? The skin is a gate, and no gate opens to a forceful knock, but with patience, and rhythm, and reverence, she will invite you in. Let your hands say what your mouth cannot. Let your pace speak of respect. Let your touch become the language she didn't know she needed. You want to know how she feels? Don't just look at her body. Listen to her breath, because the breath is honest. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't perform. It rises when she softens. It catches when something surprises her. It deepens when she feels safe. And sometimes, it even holds suspended in silence. When anticipation takes over, if you want to meet her where she is, match her rhythm. Not with pressure, not with speed, but with presence. There's a sacred harmony to be found when two people breathe in sync. It's not something you force. It's something you fall into when you're truly paying attention. When her breath slows, you slow. When it flutters, you pause. When it deepens, you stay with it. No words, just air, shared. And if her breath quickens but her body retreats, you know it's not time yet. You honor that. You wait, because her breath doesn't just guide you, it invites you, it protects her. You don't need to control her rhythm. You need to respect it. Let her lead with breath, and you will always know when to give, when to stay, and when to hold her with stillness instead of touch. And in that space, that breath between you, she may feel something even more intimate than pleasure. She may feel understood before her body says yes. Her heart needs to feel safe before desire can bloom. There must be trust in the soil. Emotional safety is not spoken. It's felt in how you look at her when she's silent, in whether you stay present when she hesitates, in how you respond, not to her words, but to her vulnerability. You see, many women have learned to quiet their needs, to shrink their desires, to perform pleasure rather than experience it. Why? Because somewhere, once, they were not safe to be real. So if you want her to open, you must first offer something rare. a space without judgment. It's not about agreeing with her, it's about not rushing her. It's about making her feel like she doesn't need to hide. Not her body, not her thoughts, not her truth. Emotional safety sounds like, I'm here, I'm listening, you don't need to be anything but you. And when she feels that, when she feels seen, without needing to perform, her whole nervous system exhales. Because arousal doesn't flourish in pressure, it flourishes in permission. Permission to feel, to move slowly, to change her mind, to let go without fear. And sometimes, the most intimate thing you can do is stay quietly when she's unsure. Not to fix, not to win, just to hold space for the woman she's becoming in your presence. That, more than any technique, is what she will remember. That is what will invite her body to speak freely. And that is what unlocks the final door. The mind is not a place you touch with hands, but it is where every touch begins. You can do everything right. You can learn every move, master every rhythm, but if her mind is not with you, her body will never fully follow. Desire lives where the mind feels free. Free to wander. Free to imagine. Free to let go. When she feels mentally overwhelmed, she can't drop into pleasure. When she feels objectified or unseen, her body becomes guarded. But when you speak to her mind, not with facts or logic, but with presence, curiosity, and care, you awaken the place where her sensuality truly lives. It's not in her hips, not in her lips, but in the secret space behind her thoughts. The moment you show her, I'm not here to take, I'm here to discover, something soft opens. So speak to her in questions, not commands. Ask her how she likes to feel, not just what she wants. Invite her into the experience, instead of directing it. And most of all, allow her mind to play. Let her fantasize, let her create, let her explore herself in your presence, without fear of being judged. Because, when the mind is aroused, the body follows in waves. It's the difference between touching and being invited to touch. Between making her climax and making her feel unlocked. In the end, it's not about where your hands go, it's about where you take her mind. And when the mind is free, the body becomes poetry. So now, you know. It was never just about her body. It was about her breath, her thoughts, the way her skin listened, the way her rhythm whispered back. You were never asked to be perfect, only to be present. To meet her not as a puzzle to solve, but as a landscape to explore, slowly. With wonder, the 5 keys were never rules. They were doorways, each one leading you deeper, not just into her pleasure, but into her trust, anticipation, touch, breath, safety, mind, together. They don't just unlock her desire, they unlock your own capacity to love, to witness, to feel, and maybe, just maybe, what she needed most was never just the climax. It was to be understood, to be cherished in stillness, to be reminded that her body is not a performance, but a poem. And you became the reader, patient enough to see every line. Now breathe. Let go of doing, and remember, when you slow down, she can rise. When you listen, she writes the story. And in that quiet space between heartbeats, you both find something more than pleasure. You find presence. And, in presence, you find home.